the Mishnah said that if you rip in order to be teifer, that's productive ripping, so then you're chayav. Kriya b'mishkan mihava, where was it in the Mishkan? Rabbi and Rav Zeir Darmit Harvayo, they both explain Shekain Uriah Shenafal Badarna, if there was a Uriah, one of the cloths that one of the curtains, that if it had a hole, right, if it had a rip or something, so you would have to rip. The way to patch it up, the way to re-sew something when it gets ripped or gets a hole, so you would have to rip up around it, and then you'd be able to sort of blend it in. Shekin Uriah Shenavadana Karin Movatarfanai says you would rip a little bit on top and under the hole, and then you would be able to sew it back up. Good morning. So that's Oh no, Rashi says Darna means I'm sorry, if a bug, a
worm, yeah.
If a worm came in and ate it up, so now it's missing is like a little hole there. So the way to re-sew it up is you have to cut off a little on top and beneath, and then you have more give, and you're able to sew that up. Okay. Amar Azucho Bartuvia Amar Rava Matechut Shel Tfira. If there's a string that's loose, and like the stitches are loose, and you pull the string, and then thereby tightening this string, chayav chatas. That's just like sewing. Another unrelated halacha that if you learn something,
why is tightening? Why is stretch? Why is that for what?
Because the Maisa, you're causing the two begadim to come together. Because you have two begadim that were sewed together, but then it was very loose. There's one string going in and out, and connecting the two parts of the beged.
Right.
Then it got loose, and you're just pulling that. You're pulling that string, causing the stitches to tighten.
You're not sewing. What are you doing? You're makeh b'patish?
No, you're sewing.
Even though you're just tightening, you're just pulling?
Yeah, but your pulling is actually causing the stitches to go in place.
The Mishnah said sewing is when you go in and out, or whatever it is. Shtei tfiros.
Shtei tfiros, right. Well, over here, obviously it has to be that you're tightening more than one tfira. But what the story is that by you pulling this, you are tightening many stitches.
So that's the chiddush. That tightening is called
right.
Tfira. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the first halacha. If you learn something else from a magush, anything, right? Not even non-Torah things, right? So, or even Torah, right? You're not allowed to learn from a magush. We'll see what a magush is. It's like a milashon magic, you know. So, someone who knows how to calculate the seasons and the constellations, and you don't calculate them, you don't learn about them. Also, the sapper matter. You're not allowed to learn anything from him. You're not allowed to talk to him. Magushta, what's a magushta? Rav Shmuel Chador Charshi. One said that it's a magician, right? So like miloshan magic. Charshi is someone who says incantations and spells. V'chador Magadufi, and one of them says it's a person who curses Hashem, which means he's avodah zarah. And they're both, connected to the. According to everybody, it's connected to the occult. It was a Zoroastrian type of priest. But the shaila over here is what's the main thing? Is it just magic, or is it actually avodah zarah? So at this time, the Gemara says we should be able to conclude the Rav the Amar Gedufi. Rav is the one who said it's avodah zarah. The Amar of Zucham and Tuvim Rav. Rav said that if you learn something from a magush, you're chayav misa. If you just think he's just a magician, so you can't learn to do. This is why Oiv and Yidaini and all the things the Torah doesn't let you do. You shouldn't learn to actually practice what they do. The halacha is we darshan from that you're allowed to learn to understand and teach as to what is asur and to understand what these things are, to understand what the Torah wants from us, right? But you're not allowed to learn to practice, right? So Rav, right? So if Rav says you're not allowed to learn anything from a magush, must be it's not just magic, because magical things or these type of practices you're allowed to learn not for practice, right? As we see in this drasha, so it must be Rav who says you're not allowed to learn from them, and your Chayiv Misa must be it's not just magic, it's even Avodah Zarah, and therefore you're not allowed to learn from him. Anyone who knows how to calculate the seasons of the year and the constellations of the stars, on him the pasuk rebukes him that is that the actions of Hashem they don't look at, and what he did with his hands they did not see. You're sort of ignoring the beauty and wonder that Hashem created. How do you know that it's a mitzvah to mechashev tkufas? And the Bahag actually counts this as one of the Taryag. How do you know that it's a mitzvah? Shenemar ushmartem va'asisem ki hi chochmaschem uvinasem lenei amim. You should keep and do the mitzvahs. Ki hi chochmaschem uvinasem. That's your wisdom and understanding. In light, to be a light to the nations, or in light in the eyes of the nations. Eze chochma ubina shehileina. I mean, what type of chochma is going to be the einei ha'amim that the amim are able to recognize and see how deep it is. That's like the mathematical calculations of the seasons, the calendrical science, and astronomy or astrology, right? So. Rashi says that it's something that is very provable, and the goyim can be very, very impressed because you predict the weather based on the seasons, where the position of the sun is going to be, and basically where the stars are going to be and where the sun and the moon. So therefore, it's something that you could show them. And they'll be very impressed. Mashenkin, if you tell them about philosophy or something, right? So, right? But this is something that's actually grounded in reality, in physical signs. So therefore, it's going to be le'einei ha'amim. It's something that they'll be able to see. Okay, atzad sevi. The next melacha in the Mishnah was someone who hunts a deer. Okay, so hunting. If you now a chilazon is a type of snail that they would make techelas from the blood, right? So it's a big hak, exactly, what the species of chilazon are, but let's just say it's a type of snail, right? So atzad chilazon, if you trap a chilazon ve'apoitzai, and you are poitzeya it, which means you squeeze it for the blood. You squeeze it so that the blood squirts out. You only chayav one. Now we'll see why. Yehuda says, Pitzia is just like Disha. Just like Disha is threshing when you bang the kernel you bang the wheat in order for the kernel to separate from the shell. You want what's inside to come out. So over here, you want the dam to come out from the inside. That's like Disha. They said in Pitzia b'chal Disha. No, Pitzia is not like Disha. My time in the Rabbanon. What's the reasoning of the Rabbanon? Kasavi and Disha elo l'gdulei karka. They hold that Disha is really meant to be, just like in the Mishkan, it was in stuff that grew from the ground, so it has to be begidulei karka, produce, something that grows from the ground. But chilazon doesn't grow from the ground. It's a fish, whatever, it's a snail. So says well, okay, fine. So you're going to be chayiv because of tzad, right? You're going to be chayiv because of hunting, and you're going to be chayiv, and not according to the chachamim, not for the p'tzia for the dam, but you should be chayiv for netilas neshama, right? So hashoichet is one of the laws on Shabbos.
Since is that netilas? Is that usher on Shabbos, or is that just usher?
Oh no, it's also specifically on Shabbos, just like shchita.
Got it. Okay.
Right, just like shchita, your chayav hashoichet. It's netilas neshama, drawing blood. Any drawing blood is also included in the issur of shchita of netilas neshama. Right, so lamaisa, when you squeeze this snail, this chilazon, you're actually killing it, right? So that should be the same thing as shchita. So Rabbi Yochanan shepatz mace, that you actually you squeeze it after it died already, so you didn't kill it. Rava Amar afil tema shepatz chai. Even if you would actually squeeze it while it's alive, you're still not going to be chayiv for netilas neshama. Why misasek hu etzel netilas neshama? You're being misasek, which means you're really not b'chlal being mechaven to kill it, right? You're trying to just get the dam out. You're not trying to kill it. So you consider a misasek like you're doing something else.
That's not really misasek. That's it has no well, there's no kavanah to do it.
Well, we'll see. Look, the Gemara asks right away. Veha abai. This kash is going to come up a few times in the Masechta. The Gemara asks Veha abai v'rav namitar vayu moeder Reb Shimon b'sikreisha v'lo yamus. Right. Yeah. That even though Reb Shimon holds davar she'ein miskaven is pater, right, is mutter, but the psikreisha v'lo yamus, meaning you can't claim the classic case of psikreisha is called psikreisha, cutting off his head. Right, you want to take a chicken head. You want you want to have a toy for your child. So you have a chicken. You take the chicken head and you want to chop it off and give it to the kid. Right. So it's a melacha of shaykhet. Right. It's a melacha of killing. Netilas neshama. You can't say, oh no, I wasn't mechaven for it to die. Of course not. It's impossible for you to cut off its head and for it to remain alive. So that's a psikreisha, right? Something that's for sure it's inevitable that it's going to happen.
That's a hak and davar she'ein miskave, not in the misasek. This is not really misasek. It's davar she'ein miskave. Right.
I agree. I think really that the kavanah over here is davar she'ein miskaven, because when the Gemara evokes psikreisha,
right,
you see that we're talking about davar she'ein miskaven. Yeah. Right, that's what Taka sounds like we're talking about. Taisus actually points that out. If you look at the Taisus Misasik, who it's not the Shama, smack in the middle of the Taisus says Misasik the Hacha Hainu Davar She'ein Miskaven.
Oh, good. Okay.
Right, so you'll see that. Yeah, there he goes through it. So that's that. So, so either way, the Gemara is saying, how could you tell me that you're not going to be chayav? Hooray, fine, you're not being mechaven to kill it. You don't want to kill it. Very nice. But l'maisa, it's a psikreisha. It's for sure going to happen. So therefore, it's considered it bleibs mechaven, right? It actually it becomes davar miskaven, right? You can't just say you don't want it if it's for sure going to happen. You can't say that you're not intending. So it says the Gemara, shani hachan over here is different. The kamadis ben neshama tfei nichale. While it's still alive, you like it. Basically, this person not only is not interested in it dying, and he just wants the blood, as ironic as that sounds, but he actually wants it to stay alive more. The kamadis ben neshama tfei, as long as it breathes more, as long as it has still life, so that the dam, the color of the blood, will be a clear color. So, or a consistent color, whatever that means, a clear color, right? So, so over here, even though yes, psikreisha usually becomes aser, but over here, since it's mamish, you don't want him to die, so therefore it's sort of, well, we know there's a concept, the Aruch holds that psikreisha l'nichale is mutter, right? A psikreisha, if you don't want it, then it's not really aser. But over here, let's just say what Taisus says. Taisus says that when you have if it's lo nichale, then it becomes a davar she'ein, it's a melacha she'ein tzricha legufa. Right? Melacha tzricha legufa means you're doing the action for the correct intent, right? Even though you're mechaven, the classic case of melacha she'ein tzricha legufa is when if there's a dead body in a house and it's starting to smell, you're not allowed to carry it outside, right? That's an isser vaitzah. But it's because it's a melacha she'ein tzricha legufa. So if you hold melacha she'ein tzricha legufa's mutter, you're allowed to carry it outside. Why? Because the goal of haitzah is to carry something out, and you're not interested in this being out. You just don't want it in, right? So therefore we make that distinction and we say that's ein tzricha legufa. It's not done. You're not doing it for the regular goal that this melacha is done for, and it's not the way it was done in the Mishkan, right? So too over here. Netilas neshama is usually done. The goal of netilas neshama is to kill it, and over here, adrabah, you don't want to kill it, right? So therefore, it's melacha she'ein tzricha legufa. You're doing the melacha for a side goal, and therefore you wouldn't be chayav, right? And because really you do want this to be alive as long as possible. Okay, there's an interesting Yerushalmi that says that tzad chilazayin. Taisus also brings it that tzad chilazon is not chayiv. The Bavli holds that obviously you're going to be chayiv for trapping it, but Yerushalmi holds you're not chayiv. I think this becomes a discussion when identifying a chilazon right? Why or why not? It would be something that you would be chayiv in Seder. There are different conditions that in Seder we'll see later on. It has to be something that that's hard to catch. It has to be something that's b'mina nitzayid. We'll see. But just interesting that there's actually machlekes Bavli Yerushalmi on this, whether you're chayiv Seder on chilazing. Okay, someone who shechts an animal, it's one of the lamites melacha. Says the Gemara, sheichet mishum mai chayiv. What do you chayiv? What's the? It sounds like the Gemara's kasha right now is taka. What is the melacha? So Rav Omer mishum tzeveya, because you're painting the neck area. When you shecht it, dam comes out and colors the neck area, and that's tzeveya. Shmuel Amar mishum netilas neshama. He says no, netilas neshama, which is killing, right? Which is killing the animal. That's enough. Okay. So Rashi points out that we know that they obviously have to kill the animals in order to get the
Hides.
The hides. You have to kill the animals, right? So obviously killing was part of the process, but Rashi says, so what? Who said shchita is the way they did it? Or even if they did it with shchita, it's irrelevant. The method of killing wasn't really important. You could even choke it to death, right? And that would also be a malacha, right? That would also be that's what they did, right? So why are you saying shchita is actually the malacha? So therefore, Rav says no, it's tzeveya, it's taka tzeveya, and Shmuel says no, you're right. Shchita is just one way of netilas neshama. So now the Gemara is going to explain. So the Gemara says mishum tzeveya in netilas neshama, right? Does Rav really mean that you only chayav if you shecht because of tzeveya and not netilas neshama? Are you telling me that there's taka no iser of taking a life on Shabbos, taking an animal's life on Shabbos? Gemara says, Rav means that there's a regular melacha of netilas neshama, and when you specifically do it with shchita, you're chayav another one because you're actually coloring up the you're causing the beis hashchita, the place where the shchita happens on the neck, to be colored up. Amar Rav, now he's going to explain himself. Amar Rav, milsa da amri, the thing that I said. Ema ba milsa, I'm going to say another thing to explain it. Lo leisu dare basoi, so that the following generations don't come, v'lichku alai, and laugh at me. Meaning, I'm going to explain to you why I'm saying this absurd thing that someone who's shoichet is chayiv because of tzviyah, right? You don't either you don't intend, right? Usually you don't care about the coloring. What's going on here? So the Gemara says b'may nichalei. So Rav is explaining why does this guy want the tzviyah, and therefore why would he be chayiv for painting the neck with the blood? The Gemara says nicha de litvas beis hashchita dama. He wants that the beis hashchita should be colored with blood. So that people will see the coloring and come by it. Basically, a butcher, when he shechts his meat, he wants it to get all bloody, so that people who come to the store see a bloody carcass of meat, and they say, "Oh, this is a freshly shechted animal," and therefore I'm going to buy meat from this guy. Right? So it sounds like it is part of the shechita process that they actually wanted the blood to color the neck, and therefore you would be chayiv also because of tzeveya. Weiter. Hamolchay v'me'abdoi. Right. So molchay is when you salt the meat to dry it up, and me'abdoi is when you put other types of chemicals also to make it to preserve it, to make it into the leather that we like using for other things. Right. The Gemara says hainu aleach hainu me'abed. Isn't it really the same process? Right. Isn't it the same process? Why would it be a separate melacha? So Rabbi Yochanan, V'Rish Lakish, Tarvayu, Apik Chad Minai Va'el Sirtut. You're right. Take one of them out. Molchay v'Ma'abdei fuse into one melacha, and then we're missing one of the 39. Okay, add Sirtut. Sirtut means is before they would be mechatach the leather, before they would cut the leather, they would demarcate the distance, the measurements of where they would want to cut, and that's called Sirtut. Whether with actually making a little indentation or just coloring it, that's sirtut. Amar Rabbi Huna Hayman de Malach Bisra. if somebody salts his meat, chayiv mishum me'abed, yutaka chayiv also is a tolda of me'abed, of this, of just like salting leather would be a problem, so too salting meat would be a problem. Rav Amar ein ibud ba'oichlin. Rav says no. Ibud is not, but ibud by definition is not things that are with food. Right? We'll see. There's many rules that this ein ibud ba'oichlim, ein tzviya ba'oichlim. Right? There's many things that many malachas don't apply to oichel because that's not the derech. Right? The derech is not to be ma'abed, to tan or to process your oichel. Right? The idea is with meat, with making leather. So ein ibud ba'oichlim. Therefore, you could salt it all you want. Amar Rabashi, v'afil Rabbi Arhuna. Even the first man, the Amar, who said you are chayiv. If you're salting it in a way that you need to preserve it for going and traveling on a journey, whereas back in the day, the way they would preserve meat is by making it very, very dry. They didn't have fridges, they didn't have coolers, so the way they would preserve it is by salting it in a tremendous amount. It's in a way that you can't even eat it. You have to wash it out. You have to, right? So that type of professional or whatever or grand amount of salting, that would be considered a melacha to Rabbi Eliyahu. But if you were just salting it to get the blood out, like we do like you would do at a house, right? To be machsher the regular melicha, so that that wouldn't be a problem because a person wouldn't put a lot because he won't make his regular food into wood, right? He doesn't want it to become as hard as wood, so he's not going to put as much melach, as much salt. Therefore, that's not really melichos. Even Rabbi Bahuna agrees that it's only if you're doing a very strong salting. If you smoothen out the leather and cut it, right? So there's actually machlekes what this means, but the Rambam says hashaf bein amudim is if you have leather that's attached to sticks, like in the Sefer Torah, right? So like the cloth is attached to sticks, and if you smooth it out, it's also memachik. Memachik isn't only if you're cutting off the hairs and smoothing out the leather, but even if you just smooth it out, to even when it's attached to two amudim, you're still chayev. Rashi says this doesn't mean that. Rashi says it's if you have two pillars. I'm not sure exactly the case Rashi has. If you have two pillars that are separating windows, and you want to flatten out the earth in between, it's mimachek. I'm not sure exactly what the case of Rashi is saying there, but either way, Rashi's not talking. According to Rashi, it's not leather that's on pillars. It's not leather that's attached to sticks. It's actually pillar amudim that we're talking about are actual pillars. Okay, so that's your Chayiv Shema Machak. Gimel Dvarim Sachli Rav Ashi. Three things Rav Ashi told me Mishmei Rabbi Shimon Levi. Hamegara Rashi Klunsais B'Shabbos Chayiv Shema Chatech. If you have the head of Klunsais are sticks. So if you shaving the tops of them, so Chayiv Shema Chatech, right? If you scrape it off, because you want them to be sharp. Rashi says because you're cutting it, I guess. Even though I would think it's more smoothing it out, but it sounds like it's a chituch thing. It means you want a specific measurement because you're trying to make them equal. If you smooth out or a bandage on Shabbos, that's on a makkah, chayiv mishum machek. That's because you're smoothing it out. So even b'Shabbos. And if you smooth out and chisel a stone on Shabbos, chayiv mishum makah b'patish. Rashi says after it was already taken out, now you're smoothing it out. You're chayiv because of makah b'patish. Now I think Taisus says that why is it not the regular memachek, right? Because that you already did already. He's talking after it's already square, it's already basically finished. All you're just finishing up with the designs. That's what this masatet means. You're finishing the designs on an Evan, so then you're chayiv mishum makah b'patish, right? That's the malacha, gemar malacha. Whenever you finish something, that's the malacha of makah b'patish. Amar Reb Shimon ben Kisma, Reb Shimon Lakish, hatzor tzura b'kli. If you carve out an image or whatever, you're making a painting or whatever in a kli, not a painting, right? You engrave or you color in some type of picture in a kli, v'amnapeach b'kli zchuchis, or you blow in heated glass, right? The way you make glass is you heat it up and then you shape it. So amnapeach, that's glass blowing, right? So amnapeach b'kli zchuchis chayiv mishum makeh b'patish. Then you chayiv because of makeh b'patish, because again that's the end process here of these things. You take off these. If sometimes you have, when you buy a new beged, you have extra strings that are sticking out, extra knots, or different things that are included in the new beged. And if you want to take all those things out, right? Rashi says sometimes even you have little pieces of wood that were in the beged, that they stuck in the beged while they were making it. They needed it there, right? So now you taking it out is the final preparation for it to be able to be used, right? Like cutting out, in the suit when it has the strings attaching the flaps in the back, you're cutting it out, something like that, right? In the processing of the beged, they would have to have all these things there, and now when you're using it, you take it off. So that's the makeh b'patish. That's the end of the process. And so you're chayev, and that's obviously only if you need it. If you care about it, if you care to actually take it out. But if you would have just left it there and you don't care about it, so then that's not really considered a gemar melacha because you don't really need it. If you write two ICAs, that the Mishnah says you're chayev. If you wrote one big letter, and it takes up the place where you could have written two letters, Potter, you're still Potter because you might have to write two letters, right? But but if you erased in terms of eraser, right? In terms of erasure, if you were to erase one big letter that has in its place the area of being able to write two letters, right? Right? That's how erasing could be even more stringent, more chomer than kaisef, because you see over here that even though you erased one letter, you're chayev, right? Because the idea by erasing isn't that you actually erased two letters. We don't care what exactly you erased. The point is you're erasing in a way that is enabling you to write there it's a tikkun in a way that it's enabling you to write. So therefore, even if it's a big one and it's one, you erase it and you could write two letters, you're chayev. So Rabbi Rav says, anything that has an ending process, as Gemar Melacha, so you're chayav mishum makeh b'patish. Like we have a few examples, right? So now, Elu avos melachos. The Mishnah said, Elu avos, these are avos melachos. The Gemara says, Elu, what's Elu? Le'afuke midor b'laz m'chayav al telad b'makom av. Rabbi Elazar is m'chayav on a telad b'makom av. He holds that if you do a telad and the av, you're chayav twice. Right, we said right when we learned the Mishnah, right away the Gemara pointed out that if you have different toldas that are part of one av, either different toldas that are part of one av, or you do a tolda and an av, because it's all within the av, within that one section of the melacha, you chayiv only one. But Rabbi Elazar holds no, you chayiv two, one for a tolda and one for an av, even if they belong to the same av, right? So therefore we're saying no, elu av is melachas, and this is the way you're chayiv, only 39, you can't be chayiv more. Abayim Chaser Achas 39. What's the number? Lafuke in the Yehuda. The Tana Rabbi Yehuda Moisif as a Shoivet. Rabbi Yehuda holds that breaking news. Rabbi Yehuda holds that there aren't 39 melachas. There are more than 39 melachas. Rabbi Yehuda holds it's a Shoivet. Shoivet is when you have, this is back to the loom, when you have the loom. So we said that you connected mesach is when you connect the chassis strings into the loom, right? So shovet is if you tap it down to make sure they stay smooth. And so part of the process of when you're using the loom, right, you would have to be shovet. You would have to make sure that the chassis strings are equal, so that everything goes well. Then the clothing comes out okay, right? If it's tangled or whatever, right? So then or uneven, it's not going to come out. So a shovet means you make sure that it's straight and even. Medaktek means it's in the Erev. and that Rashi says that means that you loosen it if it's too tight. You make sure it's not so tight, so that it's not crunching up the beged. Right. So also so Shavet sounds like in the Shesin. Medaktik is also a similar thing that you do in the Erev. Right. So both of these things, Rabbi Yehuda adds as a malacha. Amrullah, they say Shavet Torah b'chol Mesach. Nah, that's all b'chlal the malacha of Mesach. Setting up the loom, that's what we mean. You set up the Shesin Erev, you're making it okay, right? So that's all included. That Medaktik or b'chol Erev, that's all. When you're irrigate, when you're putting the Erev through back and forth, obviously you're going to be makbid to make sure that everything, that it's not too tight and, not too loose. And that's medaktik, right? So that's all included in irig, so we're not going to count it as its own malacha. But it sounds like Yehuda actually has 41 malachas at least, right? Fine. Masnisin. V'oid klal acher amru. Another klal they said, meaning, right, we said there's a klal gadol amru. First we said a klal gadol, and now we're saying oid klal acher. Another klal, kol hakashal atzniya, umatzniyan kamayu. Anything that is fit for to be matzniya. Matzniya doesn't necessarily mean to hide, right? Literally means to hide. Matzniya means to set aside, right? So we're going back to talk about in terms of haitzah. Right, in terms of you carrying from Rosh Hashanah or Rosh Hashanah or vice versa, or 4 ounces Rosh Hashanah, halacha is in all Malachas Shabbos there's a shear, right? You're not chayev if you do one tefira, right? You have to do 2 tefiras, right? You're not chayev if you're teichen less than a gregaris. It has to be like the size of a date, right? So each Malacha has a shear. So Hitzah also has a shear. Now the shear of what you're chayiv if you were to carry on Shabbos, right? That depends on the actual. It could depend on the actual item that you're carrying, right? So first of all, what do you carry? Kol hakoshelatzi has to be something that is valuable enough that someone sets it aside and cares for it in a way that he would want to carry it, right? So if you have a dirty tissue or that no one's going to use anymore and you have it in your pocket, that's not kosher latzniya, right? Because no one's makbid on it. You just want to throw it away, so that you wouldn't be chayiv for carrying on Shabbos. Umatzniyin kamayu means that amount. So first of all, the material has to be something that would be valuable enough to set aside. Matzniyin kamayu means the shear, the amount, right? So a bag of rice, right, would be an amount of rice that people care about. But if you have 3 kernels of rice in your pocket, so that's not going to be that. The material is kosher latzniya. Rice is okay, but the shear isn't enough, right? So Yitzir b'Shabbos, but if it is kosher latzniya and matzniim kamayu, so then Yitzir b'Shabbos chayav chatas alav. Because she'ena kosher latzniya ve'ein matzniya is something that's not fit to really set aside, and ein matzniim kamayu, or the amount is not fit to set aside. Yitzir b'Shabbos ein chayav el matzniya. Then you're not chayav. Only the one who actually is matzniya, which means that there's a general shear for everybody. There's a general halacha for the stam person. But then, if you have a person who, for whatever reason, actually values a dirty tissue, actually values something that regular people won't value, and he does set it aside, and he is machshavit, so then that's called achshaveh, right? He made it into something chashav, and therefore he would be chayiv for it. Right, so but a regular person would not be chayiv ela hamatzniya. Only the person who actually is matzniya. Now, continues the Gemara. Kol hakashel latzniya lafuki. What's that coming to exclude? Amar papa lafuki dam nida. Let's say blood, menstrual blood. Menstrual blood, no one carries. No one's interested in that. It's garbage, right? So therefore, if a woman someone has it, whatever. I don't know how you have it. If you have it on a handkerchief, I don't know exactly what that means. You have dam nida, but if you have dam nida, you're not going to be chayiv for that because no one's interested in carrying that. And no one cares for that. Maruk v'amar lafuki atzei ashera. He says, no, if you have atzei ashera, or if it's wood that belongs to a tree that was worshipped, right? So therefore it has no value. It's also behanoah. No one wants it. You need to burn it. So therefore, it's vayta, you're not going to be chayiv on that. Manda omer dam nida kol shken atzei ashera. For sure, atzei ashera also have no value, and therefore you're going to be pater. Manda omer atzei ashera. Aval dam nida, he didn't mention dam nida. Why? Because matzna le l'shunra. Because some people used to put it aside for the cat. They would feed it to the cat. The idach, and the other opinion says no, you can't feed it to a cat. You wouldn't feed it to a cat. Why? Kevin the chalsha, since the woman whose dam nida would get weak if you feed it to a cat, like matztinle. Right? So it sounds some type of segula type of thing that if you give the dam nida, if a woman gives her dam nida to a cat to eat, she will become weak, right? So therefore they won't do it. And that's the machlokes over here, whether or not it's something that people would do. And in addition, this Mishnah is not like Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon, so Reb Shimon argues, right? We said that these shiurim are forever. Well, the shiurim we're going to say, right? And this klal that we're saying in the Mishnah, it applies to everybody, right? And someone who's matzniya something, so then this klal doesn't apply. If you're matzniya, right? So then, even if it's less than a shear, even if it's something very weird and very, very unconventional, and the shear is unconventional, so if you're matzniya, you're chayav. A regular person would not be chayav. Reb Shimon holds exactly the opposite. He says no. These shiurim are specifically for a person who's matzniya. If someone's not matzniya, so then you wouldn't be chayav at all, right? We're talking for someone who's matzniya, this is going to be the shear, and less than that is not even a shear, even if you're matzniya, right? So Reb Shimon holds that these klolim that we're going to see are actually even for a person who's machshav it, and you can't be machshav more than that, right? So he's directly arguing with the Mishnah that says no, these shiurim are for everybody, and a matzniya has different halachas. Okay, so we'll be mamshech tomorrow. We'll see the continuation of the Mishnayos, what the shiurim are, and the halachas.
All right.
Shikaya.
Have a great day, everybody.
A good day. We have other candidates for adding on to the malachas, like yesterday, pounding.